So we are almost through the start system. You have positioned your audience, your subject, time, and you already created some hopefully great rapport with the audience before you hit the stage. The last thing you want to do in this start system is you want to gain trust. So you want to position yourself as an expert. So in this start system, the last T stands for trust. The audience needs to trust you as the expert to take them from whatever point they are at where they're suffering to a more pleasant place. They need to trust you. So how can you make them trust you without doing the very boring thing of showing them your CV and really put on that armor, speaking armor? You don't want to do that. You want to do it in a more subtle way in order to create trust. For instance, you could share a personal story of the first time you did something. It could be, for instance, if it's public speaking, I will then talk about, as part of the start system, the first time I had to give a speech, a paid speech. It was 1,000 crowns and I was so proud. It was a morning seminar, but I was also extremely nervous. I woke up, I think it was between 3 and 4 o'clock at night when I looked, and I was ready to give that speech. So then talk about how nervous I was the very first time I spoke. And then I can then talk about how now 1,000 presentations later, how much more confident I am speaking, and then share with them that I am here to help the audience to quicker go from being nervous or whatever unpleasant feeling they're having when they do public speaking to a more confident and charismatic feeling so they can connect more with the audience. I'll talk about that. That could be a personal story of how you developed as a person and learned a skill. If you are teaching, for instance, entrepreneurship or businessship, or as a business owner, you could talk about how you maybe didn't make any money for 6 months and you were about to shut your company down and go back to the corporate world. But then all of a sudden you got a client, you start receiving a little bit of money and you could pay a part of your bills, and then how you hustled on maybe a couple of years till the point where you're at now. Let's say that's making good amount of money. You then position yourself through a personal story of how you struggled and how you then later came to a place that was much better. So a personal story is a great way to position yourself as an expert. You can also talk about your methodology, how you work. For instance, the way I work is I always try to find the scientific information about this if it's possible. So I'll talk about how my methods are backed up by science and proven by results. I look for scientific evidence that makes sense that these tools are working. And then I also look at, are they actually working? Are people getting results from using these tools? So you can then mention how many people that have used your methods and how much gain they have gotten from it. You can share that this tool might be an old ancient tool that has been working for centuries, and all you have done is refine it a little bit, giving it a little bit of twist. So you are then an expert in your niche, in your little model that you are using. So you want to position yourself as an expert, but don't spend too much time on it. A few minutes is enough. And then later on throughout your presentation, you will have plenty of time to talk about personal stories. But the audience needs to feel at ease and trust you, have some sort of trust that you can bring them from whatever unpleasant place they are to a better place. So position yourself as an expert that they can trust, and you are well on your way to having created a great start where your audience will hang on to every word.